this solo episode of Rant. Reason behind this, I said on Twitter I'd do one if Jordan Henderson lifted the Champions League, and he did. But I did say I'd commit, and I'd basically base this whole episode on Jordan Henderson's whole career. But I'm doing a football season review in a few days with Henry Winter, who's a top journalist and a top, more or less, TV pundit. So I'll do all that then. So the idea behind this was just give it a crack. If it's crap, it's crap. Do one and done. But I'd rather try it and fail than not do it all, blah, blah, blah. You get the point. So also, last thing is everyone who donated to my Patreon page, thank you very much. There was a few people who were kind enough to do it after the last episode. So thank you very much. But yeah, it helps a lot with regards to keeping SoundCloud subscriptions, paying for new stuff, paying for new mics, paying for recording software that allows me to do face-to-face or even have conversations with people in Australia or the US. So whether you've got €1 or 20 million in your bank account, it does basically... There is a level of... You see, this is why I don't want to do one on my own. I have to constantly talk and come up with fucking words. It's... you can contribute whatever your level is. Anyway, the idea behind this is there's going to be loads of topics to discuss that have been sent to me via Instagram. I'm just going to blab through them, and hopefully it won't be overly long. Some of the stuff I will be way off on. Some of the stuff I won't be. Some of the stuff I will give you the best advice you've ever heard in your entire life. And then once you actually go and try apply that advice to real life situations, you'll probably end up in jail or homeless, or both. But anyway, I'm just going to get straight into it. I don't think there's I could map out the whole podcast, but I don't. I learned early on in the whole podcasting business, oi, 3 years. Who's counting? I am. I'm counting, by the way. That if you map out these episodes, it becomes too rigid and you stick to a time format, and it gets a bit dour and boring. So I have a bunch of topics to get through, of a few quick fire questions that might hurt a few people, but they're not over the top. I'm sure people will be able to live with what I say. So Maria Bailey was on a lot of people's minds, and they wanted to get my take on it. And I want to be brief on this because the whole thing's become a laughing stock. It started off as just kind of in one or two papers. Then once the whole social media thing started getting going and the memes started going, it took off. And I think she is a moron for thinking that falling off a swing. And let's just be clear, like, if you're swinging on a swing, and yes, it's at the top of a hotel beside a bar, whether you were swinging on that before you go in the bar or after you're in the bar when you're a bit tipsy, you should be on it for one reason, which is to get some stupid Instagram story / post. And like, if you're legitimately thinking, oh yeah, I better go swing on this for 10-20 seconds before I get into the bar, or if I'm leaving to go into the elevator, let's swing for 15-20 seconds. You need to stand up, get off that swing, hopefully find a mirror, and realize that you're not a 7-year-old in Herbert Park.
Swing away, George. I'm coming, Cody. I'll save you.
Like, Mrs. Bailey, I don't know what you were thinking that you could actually get money out of this whole thing. Like, people fall. People do stuff on things that aren't exactly our own. We don't own them. So, like, there's been times I've been in Herbert Park and fallen off a slide. There was times I've been in Funderland when I was 10 and hurt myself in the ghost train. There's times where I pissed myself on ghost trains. But you don't see me coming out with pants that are stained and going, you know what, I'm going to sue you 45,000 for damages. I'll see you in court, bitch. That's not how life works. So I don't know, maybe this is going to start a new trend. Maybe people this weekend in Crystal had a good night, got the picture at playtime, and did one of those kind of fake falls. And now they're going to claim against Crystal and be like, you know what, that playtime bed is it's lethal. It's absolutely dangerous. Give me 85,000, please. Like, you could actually make some sort of like Netflix documentary on these false claims based around Dublin. Like you'd be getting people will be suing Zosmas for the fake umbrellas. Someone probably I don't know, someone who maybe visited the country would have thought they would have been covered by the rain, and then once it starts raining, there's obviously gaps between the umbrellas, and they maybe sue places like Zosmas. Maybe they might sue Londas on Grafton Street for making the worst chicken fillet rolls in Dublin. Like you could go on and on and on. But yeah, like I think it's ran its race. I think she needs to go back to the gym and work on her jogging / marathon work, which seems to be exceptional to begin with. But yeah, like if you're running a marathon after a week while you're trying to get money because you were injured in the fall, like that is insane. Like especially like whether it was a half marathon or marathon, it doesn't really matter. Like that has tested you mentally and physically to your maximum. Like maybe if you were like, oh, I tried to go bowling in a leisureplex and I couldn't, flick my wrists. I was too emotionally damaged and physically hurt by the fall. Like running a marathon? Like what planet is she on? Genuinely, like you couldn't write that. That is something you'd see in Alan Partridge's episode. Honestly, it would be. So I think she just needs to just step back from the whole thing, put up her hand and apologize. And the thing is, people forget about it in a week or two. But if she keeps dragging her name through the bloody mud and keep insisting that she's right and they're wrong, it's not going to end out well. It's not going to end up well for her. So that's my take on the whole thing. And another take I have on, and this was quite popular in the topics people want to cover, was Israel Folau. And those two things have been quite prominent in the media coverage or on YouTube or podcasts or whatever. It's been a popular topic. And Israel Folau, for people who don't know, he basically had an Instagram post where it was based off his religious beliefs, and he was saying how hell awaits gays and others he considers to be sinners, which, like, whether I agree with the post or not, it doesn't really matter, because the whole issue with the whole thing is it's not about, I don't want to get into a religious fight here and end up being the target of different religions. Like, everyone's entitled to believe and not believe, and just the fact that he seemed to just completely forget that he represented more than himself, which in this case is his national sports team, and then also I'd say he's got countless sponsorships, he's got close friends, he's got his family, he's also got a Super 15 team as well. And then also the effect that has. So, like, as a professional sports person, you have to set an example for all your fans, all the people who look up to you. And people up until the age of like 20 would idolize this guy. And I don't know what the stats are, but I think it used to be like 1 in 10, 1 in 12 people were gay. And like, if they see him Instagramming a post saying hell awaits gays, and then, as I said, the other people he considered to be sinners, that's not good. They're not going to be like, oh, that's key. Well done, Israel. Thanks for that. And also, like, I'm just going to say it, like, hell awaits. Like, when the head goes, the head absolutely goes. I hate to break it to you, Israel, but no matter how good or bad you are, there's not going to be hell. It's not like once you pass away at the age of 85, you then star in Little Nicky with Adam Sandler for the next billion, trillion, gazillion years. And then for all the people who were good are up with Seth Rogen and the boys after This Is the End with Backstreet Boys singing Backstreet's Back. All right. No, I don't think that's how it works. But my final point on the whole thing is just, he represents more than himself. He's entitled to believe whatever the hell he wants to believe, just like everyone else is. But unless you're homeless and you don't represent the thing and aren't connected to a company, aren't getting paid, etc., like, you can't be stating such a strong opinion, especially on social media, to hundreds of thousands of people, and at this stage, millions. Like, that's not how it's meant to work. So, sorry. Normally, I I listen a lot in my podcast, so I don't have to talk. My throat's kind of seasoned up here a bit. What was next? So like this one, I think is taking the piss. And there's 3 people who asked this. So they're all different age groups, so that leads me to believe that they weren't all taking the piss, or maybe all 4 of them individually are taking the piss. But they were asking like what career advice I'd give, which is insane. As in, it's insane of them to ask me this, but like for anyone who's in their young 20s or 19, whatever, just go get your degree. Don't worry about it too much, because if you don't think it's going to be, you'll be able to apply that to your future job. Half of the people go off and do masters anyway. And then even if you want to get into a job, if you live in Dublin, most people here, it's not what you know, it's who you know. So I'd say go out, get your degree, try out as many different types of jobs as you can in the 3, 4, 5 years you can before you complete your degree. So like for me, I pretty much was a teaching assistant for an entire year, pretty much worked full time. Well, I did work full time for an entire school year. I've done rugby coaching now for 6, 7 years. I did 1 or 2 kind of internships in the first year or 2. I worked in UCD Sports Centre for like 2 years. So, and then I also was in a band for 3 years as well, which there was just a variety of different things that I got to experience by doing that. So I had a firm idea, not a firm, but a decent idea of what was good, what I liked, what I didn't like, what pays well, what doesn't, what I'm good at and what I'm not. So I just advise everyone at that age to do as much as they can, get their degree done. And don't expect to know what you're doing by the age of 24, 25, 26. I think there's a lot of trial and error. And unless you're an entrepreneur or an absolute genius, I think a lot of people just spend 3, 4, 5 years trying to figure out what the hell they're doing. And then eventually they stumble upon something where they're like, yeah, okay, I'll do this for the next 30 years. Yeah, for the 4 people who listen to that advice, write it down on a sheet of paper. Look at that sheet of paper. Scrunch it up as hard as you can. Turn on your fire and throw it in the fire and watch it burn. So chimps, how dangerous are they? I know who asked this, and I won't disclose it, but basically the debate I had with a lot of people, but about half of them were actually professional rugby players, so they're a lot bigger than the common man you'd find in Drimna, Drumcondra.
But football analysis depends largely on the size of the brain. You have to absorb it, you have to decode it into sound bites for the common man in Drumcondra.
And no disrespect to the people of Drumcondra, I'm just saying that these professional athletes would be bigger than you, so please don't kill me. People think chimpanzees are kind of good crack, good banter, but they're not. As in, people go, oh yeah, they're essentially like hairy humans, like, in fairness, like, look at him there with his banana, like, taking the Oreo and he splits it and then has the white stuff in the middle, like, that's so key. Chimpanzees will literally rip your face off. They will rip your eyes out. They'll rip your balls out. They'll rip your arms off, rip your hands off, and they'll tear you apart piece by piece. They're evil. They're absolutely so evil. And they're very intelligent, which upsets me as well. Like, when they attack humans, they don't, like, they do bite them and stuff, but the main things they go for, the real sadistic stuff. So, like, people who get attacked by chimps, like, their ears, their nose, their teeth, their eyes, fingers, they all get, like, ripped off. So it's not a case of, oh, they suffered heavy bruising or cuts. It's like, no, the guy's eyes literally got ripped out. So on that topic, just stay away from gyms. I'm not saying like you're going to be walking down Henry Street looking for Sports Direct and you're going to be confronted by 6 chimpanzees outside the GPO who are going to be like, you want some? That's not going to happen, but don't underestimate them. If you ever go away and you're in a jungle thinking, this is kind of key, let's go up to the chimps, stay away from them. They will literally rip your head off. And if you don't believe me, Google it, or else if you're on YouTube, type in chimpanzee raccoon. And for those of you who want to story behind the chimpanzee and raccoon video. It's of this enclosure in Brazil that seems to be quite a loose operation, because there was also a cat and I think a squirrel. So that trifecta of animals managed to sneak into this enclosure with about 15, 20 chimps. But anyway, in this particular one, you've got a raccoon, and he's obviously surrounded by the chimps, and the chimps are all kind of going like, "Woo, woo, ah, ah," and start like smacking him and staring at him, being like, "What the hell is this?" And the raccoon's obviously like, "What the hell's going on? I was just looking forward to chilling all day and maybe eating one or two things. Now I'm surrounded by these absolute beasts who are just screaming at me and punching me in the face." So he's trying to shimmy his way out of there. And as he tries to run by this kind of big, lazy chimp who's on top of this rock, the chimp, like without any effort, grabs him by the tail and tosses him at, say, 40 meters. It's absolutely hilarious. So watch it. And there's also a slow-mo at the end, so watch the entire video, because even after he gets flung towards the people who are watching all this happen, there's then like a little event that he tries to squeeze himself through, and let's just say there's more to the story there. So watch it. It's hilarious, but it also is educational. What else? Talk about some recent books / TV shows / films / podcasts / songs you've watched or listened to. So books, I tend to try and be reading a book always on the go. The most recent one I finished was Pep Guardiola's book. It was the one about when he was in Bayern Munich, and basically this Italian journalist, Marcy Perarno or something like that. It's called The Evolution, and it's quite a long book, but your man Marty who wrote it, sounds like some lad literally from Galway was like, Pep was like, "Hello, do you want to write my book for 4 years?" And Marty's like, "Yeah, go on, yeah, I'll watch your training sessions and yeah, take it all down, yeah." But anyway, this guy's Italian, and he basically got unprecedented access to Pep Guardiola, and he basically wrote everything down. Every bit of tactical information, every meeting, every one-on-one meeting, went to dinner with Pep. Pep did stuff in his free time. Everything's in there. So it's just fascinating to get such an insight to one of the best coaches in any sport, to be honest. So that's the book I'm currently reading. My favorite book ever is Damned by Chuck Palahniuk. I can't ever say his second name right, but Damned by Chuck Palahniuk. He's the guy who did Fight Club. TV shows, just finished Chernobyl. Superb TV. And I'm currently watching Game of Thrones. I'll comment on that now. Basically, I just finished the Red Wedding episode. Yeah. I want to say I watched it 2 weeks ago, and I'm still trying to figure out what the hell happened and why I should give a shit. Because, like, I've watched The Wire, Breaking Bad, all the big ones, Lost, etc. And, like, the Red Wedding, I always read, "Oh, wait till you see the Red Wedding, like, it's so loose, like, there's just blood everywhere, and, like, people under tables, it's like a standard wedding in Donnybrook church, I should say, you know, like, loose, like." And I was just like, this is shit. This is crap. Like, why are you killing him? Oh, why have you killed her now? And then it's like, hang on. So they killed them. So then do they now want to kill your one with the dragons? But hang on, what about the guy who fancies you one with the dragons? Is he now going to betray the one with the dragons? And then is the one who has the dragons is now going to kill these white guys? And then what about the fat guy who's with the pregnant bird? There's too much going on. The character development is so bad. So, like, as in, those pretty substantial characters have been killed thus far. I won't give out spoilers for those who are watching it currently, but I don't give a shit about any of them. They die, and I'm like, right, see ya. I hope you have a lot of money in your bank account after those 3 seasons, which they definitely do. But yeah, there's no emotional attachment to it. Unlike, say, The Wire, Breaking. Like, put it this way: after the Simpsons episode in which Homer's mom comes back, in the space of 24 minutes, and this is Homer we're talking about, some absolute mongoloid barbarian, I was crying at the end of that. When he's sitting there and his mom has to like flee from the cops in the bus and drives off into the sunset, I cried. I did. I'm just saying I did because it's the truth. But like countless people have died in Game of Thrones, and I always ask myself two questions. Number one, I'm like, do I give a shit? And the second one is, what the hell's going on? So, and trust me, I'm paying attention. I'm not going out to the kitchen to make a cup of tea or staring at my phone. I'm watching the TV show and thinking, what the hell is going on? So yeah, Chernobyl, watch it. It's absolutely phenomenal. For a comedy, what we do in the shadows is brilliant. Films. I went to see Booksmart recently. That was in the cinema. It's still out. Go see it. It's absolutely incredible. It's basically the female version of Superbad, but I'd argue just as funny. I actually think, yeah, Jonah Hill's sister is the main actress in this, and she's absolutely incredible. So yeah, instead of going seeing Rocket Man, go see Booksmart. It's definitely much better. Then for a more retro thing, I watched To Live and Die in LA, made in the 80s. It's on YouTube. Watch it. One of the best films I've ever seen. What songs am I listening to right now? Blame It on My Youth by Blink-182. I Think I'm Okay by Machine Gun Kelly and Youngblood. Adrenaline by Simple Creatures. And that's more or less it, I think. Yeah, that's all that comes to my mind. And then podcasts. Joe Rogan. And then on Netflix, there's a thing David Letterman does where he interviews all pretty much the biggest celebrities, actresses, directors, Kanye West, etc. And it's on Netflix. It's basically 50 minutes of him having an interview and also behind the scenes footage of them and their gaffes and stuff. It's incredible. Go watch it. It's better than Joe Rogan, I think, because David Letterman was the first of his kind, and he's very unique in how he gets information out of his guests. And I could only dream of being able to do that. But without going down that rabbit hole, what else is there on this bloody, like, how big of a bitch are you, Richie? Like, I'm not answering. That's not a topic to discuss. You've already made your mind up on that. Also, I'd be intrigued to see if people would rather listen to this if I filmed it. So if this was all videoed, would it be better? So to the two people who listen to this podcast, let me know if that's something that you give a shit about. So yeah, two things remain. So one is highlight some stories throughout your week, which I'll finish on. And then for those of you who aren't aware of the Schoolboy podcast I did with Matthew Gilson and Dylan Coughlin, that's, I think, the second most popular podcast I've ever done now. Like last week I checked, it had something like 38 people that still listen to it last week. And it's been out now for 4 months. So the response to that was pretty overwhelming. And then obviously on the topics for this, a lot of people sent in stuff like your best schoolboys experiences, what was rugby like, blah, blah, blah. So I try to pick the one that most people seemed interested in, and a lot tied around the Senior Cup in 2013 and the final. And people are asking me, what was the build-up like? What was it like to lose? Another one was, way you bottling idiot, which is true. So I'll give just a brief synopsis of that whole period. I'm not going to give the whole cup, but like people want to know what the build-up was like to that cup final. And in 2013, and we'd beaten Newbridge in the semi by a couple of points, 3 points maybe. And Rock came back against Ross Gray and they'd 14 men. And I was actually at that game, and that's one of the better games I've seen in schools, boys. Like 3 or 4 of those games in that cup that year were absolutely ridiculous. But that one, I think Rock came back from like 17 or 19 points with 10 minutes to go, or 15 minutes to go, maybe. And this was all with 14 men, because I think there was a tip tackle by Mr. Shawnee Coughlin, who ended up getting banned. But I think his ban from the semi-final to the final, it expired 2 or 3 hours before kickoff. So, like, just they might as well have banned him for 5 minutes after the match, rather than the like 9 days and 6 hours. Yeah, having said that, schools rugby, I don't think lads, unless someone's eye gouging or attempting to kill someone, I don't think anyone should ever miss a schoolboys game for something like a tip tackle or an accidental high tackle or something like that, or one of the tackles in the air that flips people. I know it's dangerous and stuff, but if the people are okay, like it's kids we're talking about in school. So I cared at the time, but looking back, I couldn't give a shit. But that cup that year, I think Terranure were favourites, and they bottled us against Ross Gray. So I expect to have plenty of private messages from the Terranure faithful after that. But yeah, they lost to Ross Gray in the first round, and I remember that year there was about 4 or 5 teams that could have won the cup realistically. And we got to the final, so did Rock, and going into it, Rock were slight favourites. I think the spread, that was back when Paddy Power could gamble. They could give you odds on matches. So like you had in the past pupil section of games in Donnybrook, you'd have some lads being like, what the fuck are you looking out? You need another 4 points to cover the spread. I think the spread in the first game, and those who listened to the Schoolboy podcast I did a few months ago with the lads, I think it was -10 Michaels against Castleknock, and it was 12-3 full time. And that was the game which I did a chip and chase. And so it was obviously a 9-point win, but people needed us to win more than 10 for the 10-11 odds to come true. And I think it was after the game when we were walking in, there was a group of past pupils, lads, and this is another story I forgot to say. And then my brother was one of them. And they were all like, oh, well done. Yeah, you sicko, ledge. And I walked by my brother and a few of his mates, and they were like, you fucking idiot. You've after cost me 100 quid. You bloody clown. You fucking... And as they were screaming at me, I just darted into the changing room. It was like a Premier League footballer after just costing his team a big game. Yeah, I remember that vividly. But yeah, I think Rock were -3 going in. There was a good bit of hype. Rock Michaels. From our point of view, we had never beaten Rock in a cup. It's funny how people always say, oh, it does make a big difference. Every year is different. There always has to be a team to break the mold. But like, it'd be something that'd be talked about nearly every day in a positive or negative space. You'd be saying like, oh, well, someone's going to have to do it eventually, or else other people would be like, oh, we've never beaten Rock. So that was kind of a hoodoo that did play on our minds a little bit. Trying to think what else was there. Yeah, I just remember the detail that went into it was crazy. As in, everything else was more or less the same. The build-up was the same. Training was quite similar. But the analysis was definitely a step up from the previous games. So, like, everything got analysed from scrum to individuals. We then I think we changed our whole line-out system as well. Our calls were changed, game plans, etc. And it's funny enough, a year later when I met Peter Smith, who was the coach of Rock that year, he was chatting to me about his analysis for the final. And even a year on, he was saying he had individual stuff done on all our players. He'd even picked up on 1 or 2 little arguments some of our players had during the cup. One was involving me and Ross Maloney over, I don't know, a line out, I think it was. And yeah, just detail like that was absolutely insane. Then I remember arriving there was good. The warm up, the weather was brilliant. It was so sunny. There was a great buzz before the game. The crowd was crazy. I still haven't seen a bigger crowd at the RDS since, or even beforehand. Like, it was more or less, like, I'd say 80-90% full. Like, nowadays, if you see an SET final, there's like a lot of sections that are just empty, while in this one there was one or two that were empty, but like the main stand was more or less completely full. The old stand was completely full. Those flares going off at both past pupils' ends. And yeah, the game's pretty much a blur. It was, what was it? It was 16-9 or 16, I'm trying to think, 16-7 at halftime to Rock, I think. And going into halftime, I think we all felt fairly confident. And the funny thing was, it was the whole message at the halftime was, oh yeah, let's just keep playing, blah blah blah, and let's like tire them out because they probably had a bigger pack. They're more forward orientated potentially, so it was all about playing rugby. And then once we'd gone back out, it started to piss rain. And that's when we started to kick the ball a lot more. And that's how we actually got back into the game. We started using our maul a lot more, using our forwards a lot more, kicking the corners a lot more. And yeah, ended up getting 20-16 ahead with like 8-7 minutes to go. And yeah, through another up and under kick, it bounced. Sean Coughlin caught us, beat a few defenders. They went one or two phases, scored in the corner. Via forward pass. But anyway, listen, at least no one's holding grudges or even thinks about it every night and keeps them awake. But yeah, as I said, like, it was a perfectly legitimate forward pass. But yeah, so then they won. I'm trying to think. Like, looking back on it, Michaels anyway, we played probably better rugby overall, but 14 points being conceded from an intercept and a high ball bouncing wasn't great on our part. So yeah, and then I remember after the game, both the buses were parked beside each other. So I'd say there was a 6 meter gap between both. So we're obviously depressed. It's the worst day of your life up until that point. So I was 18, 19 at that stage. And you're on a bus, no one's speaking to each other. It's hell. It's like a funeral. And we're on a bus, all being like, right, this is the worst day of our lives. And I remember looking up and just looking to the left and just seeing an empty bus. It was the same one as us. It didn't have any crest or anything on it, like a Morton's bus. And then, lo and behold, about 20 seconds later, the whole Blackrock team gets on, starts jumping up and down, taking videos, Powerade bottles staining the windows. And honestly, I'd say there's 4 or 5 meters separating the buses. So you've got those crap blinds that you can pull across, but like, people weren't even arse doing that. And eventually we got the hell out of there. But I remember thinking, like, that is pathetic. Not on Blackrock's part, just the whole situation. The whole situation, desperate and pathetic. Get me out of here. Which we thankfully did. Looking back on that, like, great final for the neutral. I've watched it a few times. It is a great game. I think it's still available on YouTube. And then, like, if you look now, I think 17 or 18 out of the 45, 46, what was it, 23, 2 squads of 23 or 22. Anyway, out of the 44 or 46 guys involved in both teams, I think like 18 of them are professionals currently, or once were professionals, excuse me, which is crazy. Like, I still can't think of a team or a final where you've got so many current professionals. Even some of the players on the bench are big professionals now with pretty stellar careers. But yeah, to finish on that subject and bury those demons and put that under the carpet for another 6 years until it's brought back up. Well, actually, it'll be brought back up next year. Gilso and Bullet, we will be doing another schools roundtable. The people want it, so do it. Last but not least, highlight some stories throughout your week. About 7 people. 7 people asked me along the lines of this same thing. So throughout the week, obviously everyone experiences these weird things. So I'll have 2 quick stories. So the first one, Some of you may have seen on my social media platforms that I told people that some guy nicked my phone. So basically what happened was about 10 days ago, I was in my gym in the change room. It was me and this other guy. I won't name him. I won't describe him. Don't want to get into those technicalities just yet, But I will see you in court, by the way. I will. And as Liam Nielsen said, I will find you and I will kill you. I'm so bad at that fucking impression. But anyway, me and him in the changing room, I realised I forget my headphones in the jacks beside the sink. And it's like a 10-second walk. It's a turnaround. So it's pretty much a 6-meter walk. So I go there, come back to the change room, and before I left to go get my headphones, I slipped my phone into my shoes and just put them under a bench. And he was on the other side. He was turned away from me, so I don't even know how he saw it. So I walk back into the changing room. Your man's then walking out. And it was like a Kaiser Soze moment. So I go sit down, 10, 15 seconds later, go to grab my phone and my shoe. And I put it in my right hand, my right foot shoe, I should say. And it wasn't there. So I was like, oh, it must be on my left. Oh, shit. Oh, crap, it's not. And then I was like, did I put it in my back? I was like, no, I didn't. And then just clicked. I was like, that guy is fully done a runner. So I was about to sprint out, but all I had was a towel. And for the sake of potentially some minors or anyone in the public realm of that Ballsbridge area, the sight of me in a towel would mentally scar many people. So I got changed as quick as I could, sprint out. I'd say there's like 50 seconds between me legging it out and him nicking my phone. So it's not as if like he could have ran 60 kilometers away. So I run up, ran out of the gym, left my stuff in there, so they could have nicked my car keys and all that stuff, whatever. So I run up, he's gone. It's like the end of The Usual Suspects. I'm just looking around being like, where is he? Where is he? Hey! I didn't actually scream like that, but in my mind. So yeah, I went back, got changed, started driving around Sandymount, Ballsbridge, because that's near enough to where the gym is, to see if I could find this guy. Then started like staking out, being like, where's this guy? I need to find him. But turns out he's actually a member of the gym. And I saw him about a week later. Yeah, we were in the spa area. We kind of locked eyes in a slightly sexual manner. There was definitely a bit of chemistry there. But this wasn't sexual chemistry. This was chemistry of, I took your phone. I turned off the Find My phone. I turned off everything. I've deleted everything on your phone and I've sold it for €25 because my old phone was absolutely terrible and I prided myself on it being absolutely terrible. But yeah, I saw him and I just went, and he was walking into the sauna. I just went, are you enjoying my phone? To which he kind of just looked at me and walked straight into the sauna without saying anything. So, like, put it this way, if I was in Judge Judy and I had that as my evidence, I think it'd be locked away for 26 years, at least. But yeah, there's not much I can do. I've got a new phone in the interim, so... Like, I remember thinking it when I got my new phone and installed it, got it back working. I was like, oh, well, listen, what's done is done. But then I was kind of like, fair play to the guy. Fair play to him. Because he was probably thinking, I've after bagging myself a new phone. This is going to be great. I'm going to be able to sell this for €50, €100. Lo and behold, he sprints out of the place. He's like, shit, need to get cover. And then he looks at his phone, takes it out of his pocket, sees my ridiculous background on my phone of some stupid Blink-182 album. And then he's like, this iPhone like 2 is worth like €25 at best. So I hope whoever has it now is enjoying it, because I enjoyed it. But yeah, I'm still going to see him. I can't do anything. I can just stare at him and have that romantic moment where we lock eyes in the sauna and he knows that I know. It's like that Ben Stiller thing. I know you know you, and I know that you know that I know you.
I mean, come on. I know you. You know you. And I know you know that I know you.
Fair play to him, but the plot thickens. The plot does thicken on that. Yeah, last thing, self-service checkout. I wrote this down. Not the whole story, but just self-service checkout, ! So I was in Tesco the other day And there's 4 self-service checkouts things. So you can go to aisle, you can go to where staff are, and they scan your items, you pay for them, blah, blah, blah. It's quite efficient. Then there's like a customer service desk where some people go 1 or 2 items, or if people want to get receipts or buy like lotto tickets, all that crap, people go there. Then the self-service checkout, in my book anyway, is if you've got a handful of things, maybe 5 to 10 items, maybe like 12 to 13, and you want to just get a quick scan through, not deal with some guy staring at your girl, being like, oh, it's a lovely day, isn't it? Yeah. And you're like, yeah, it's grand, yeah. And it's like, oh, yeah. And also, it's quite a personal interaction, you getting shopping, because like, I don't want someone judging me by what I'm shopping. You can tell a lot by a person what they get in shop. Like, put it this way, if someone's getting loads of salads, loads of greens, low-fat yogurts, or if someone's getting loads of Doritos, few cans of bloody Tesco lager, you know what spectrum they're on. That's all I'm saying. But anyway, not to get sidetracked from the self-service checkout story. I approached the self-service checkout. It's quite busy. And as I approach, I realize that one of the checkouts is out of order. And how Tesco deal with this is they don't fix it immediately. They don't get like, you know, those staff calls like, and on that note as well, there must be some sort of training people get when they join Tesco, as in like it's a hidden language. Because if I was over a Tannoy system being like, oh, hi, Derek, and he come to aisle 6, please. We need more rancheros. I'd be like, hi, sorry, can you go to the... And people would be like, oh, yeah, Derek, aisle 7. It's insane. But anyway, how they deal with the whole out of order checkout scanner yoke is they put a fucking basket over it. They just put a basket. You know where you'd scan it. So you've got the screen below it, you've got the scanner. They just put one of those metal baskets that you'd carry around and put your shopping in over it. Like, that is possibly the worst out of order symbol I've ever seen. Like, put a piece of paper over it and be like, sorry, out of service. Maybe since you've spent thousands on that technology, have up on the screen, sorry, out of service. Instead, the Irish custom is, look, there's a big basket over it. No deal. Out of service. Stay away. So that was my first issue. I kind of surveyed the whole place. I was like, right, that's an issue, but I'll deal with it. So I say I was 4th in line, 3 people, 4 checkouts. As I said, 3 people ahead of me. So I kind of started getting fixated on this this woman for all the wrong reasons, because she basically brought her entire week shopping to the self-service checkout. I say there's about 30 to 40 items, which is ridiculous. If you have that much items, you go to one of the other desks where there's a staff member and they have that kind of roly thing. The word escapes me now. I don't know. Anyway, they scan it for you and you stand there and you just go on your phone, you become a zombie for 2 minutes and then you pay. But for whatever reason, her whole shopping was there. She was going at about 0.5 pace. So like, I think there's a certain amount of items that need to be there. There needs to be a certain amount of pace that needs to be maintained, and she just wasn't doing it. So, like, put it this way, if this is a PGA Tour event, people can be flagged up for slow play and warned. I think, like, there's an assistant there from Tesco who should be able to step in and be like, sorry, you, the person at checkout number 2, self-service, you need to hurry up because you're not keeping with the tradition of, you know, speedy scanning here. So her scanning game was poor. So, lo and behold, on some of these things, it goes, oh, card only. Sometimes they don't take cash for whatever reason. I'm surprised they don't put a basket over it where you put the cash in. Sorry, can I put my cash in here? Do you not say the basket, actually? The basket, what does that mean? It means it's out of service, mate. Do you not get that? No, sorry. Where I come from, out of service means, oh yeah, OUTOFSERVICE. Not, oh, there's a fucking basket. That shit must be out of service. Thank you. Thank you for that great symbolism. Anyway, back to my point. So I was using card. So it happened to be the only card's self-service thing. The other two were cash and card. But I kind of wanted to make the point. I was like, I just want to wait here. So it came up my time, and one of the other self-service checkouts, there was an availability, and I was next in queue. So the assistant from Tesco was like, here, do you want to go and use that? And I was like, no, I'll use card. But I had cash, and I could have used card in the other one. She was like, oh, no, you can't. I was like, no, I'll just use this. So one or two people went by me. I was just fixated on the slow shopper. And so this is where it got ridiculous. The bag, normally, if you're putting them into a bag, you put the bag into the tray where you put the scanned items. The bag remained in the trolley. So she put all the items down. And then after, she grabbed the bag, put all the items in. And then I'd say about 70% of her shopping was put into the bag. And her phone rings. And I'm thinking, okay, maybe pick up, one hand on the phone, one hand put the stuff in. But no, this was way, way too big of a deal. The phone call took 100% of her thinking, thought time, and effort. So she just abandoned packing the bags. And for 40 seconds, the assistant was just staring at her. I was staring at her. There's one or two other people who were a bit pissed off, kind of staring at her as well. And eventually hung up after about 40 seconds because it was quite apparent that I was like, yeah, not the time for a big conversation. Packs away the rest of the stuff. And I'm like boiling at this stage. By the way, I've only got a Fulfill bar and a Diet Coke, but I'm boiling. Like, I'm ready to go. I feel like Rocky Balboa. I'm like, right, it's going to be me and her over. The title is going to be the self-service checkout champion. And it's not going to be a belt. It's going to be that basket they placed over the scanner for the one that was out of service. And I'll be like, yes, I'm the self-service scanner. Champ. But, so she finishes the packing, takes the bag, and then goes to get the receipt. And this was the worst part of the whole thing. She then picks up the receipt, kind of rips it off, and then proceeds to like look through it as if she was like some 18-year-old scanning through paper one. As if she'd just, before she'd gotten in the shop, she could just remember someone's wise wisdom. Remember, every time you go shopping in Tesco, make sure you always check the receipt, because those items you scanned were purely your items and you single-handedly manually scanned them, that just in case the machine does not function to the ability it does every single day, they might have messed up and you might be able to cause a bit of a scene. But no, in this case, she spent 25, 30 seconds looking up, down, the receipt, and walked off. Like, there needs to be rules. I'm just saying, like, self-service checkout, it's a basic thing. But, like, there needs to be rules. Like 5, 6 things. It's like when you go to a swim pool, it's like, number 1, no running. Number 2, make sure you've got a hat on. Number 3, don't wear goggles. Number 4, no perverts. Shit like that. That needs to be at a self-service desk. It has to be. And then also, while I was there in the queue, before all this crazy stuff happened, a couple went up and bought loads of drink. Well, not loads, but like 2 bottles of wine and a few cans. And I'd say they were in their mid-20s to late 20s. And your one walks over, because once you scan alcohol, it has to be double-checked. And they have to kind of confirm that you look over 25, which is stupid because you have to be over 18 to be able to buy a drink. But anyway, oh, you over 25? No, I'm 23. Right. Well, you do realize you have to be 18 to drink alcohol. It's like, yeah. But anyway, the assistant of the self-service checkout comes over and goes, are you over 25? And your one's like, yeah. And she goes, grand. And then just put like her cards over the scanner and just let them shop on.
How old are you?
22.
You certainly are. That'll be $80.
Oh, okay. Sure, thank you kindly. Will that do?
Certainly will. Thank you, Seth.
Hey,
Like,
thank you.
if people, say, in airports have that laissez-faire attitude, Sorry, what's that in your bag? It's a gun, a knife, and it's a bomb that's going to obliterate the 747. All right, Grant. Yeah, go on. You're Grant. We'd be in a lot of trouble if that's how things work these days. But yeah, that between the phone being nicked and that self-service thing, that's been dominating my mind a lot. But yeah, sure. Look, you can't win them all. Maybe I might take up that tactic next time. Yeah, well, that covers all the topics. There's one or two others, but I'm not getting into some of their shit. So, quick fire round. I have 5 or 6. So, I always ask quick fire at the end of my normal podcast, so I might ask myself. It sounds very sad, but I thought it would because some people asked. Question 1. Does John Burke lift fake weights? No, but I've had this debate with my friends, and I love John Burke. You fucking cocksucker. Fucking Rallen, you fucking cocksucker. Played a golf outing with him a few weeks ago. Well, not with him. He was in the group ahead of me. And I'd say every second hole, all he was
trying to reach the green from here, shooter.
And a ball would be flying at you at about 6,000 miles an hour. And it'd be John Burke's ball. And he'd be walking by. I'd be like, yeah, John, that's your ball there. And he'd be like, fuck you, Rallen, you cocksucker, fucking aiming for you. So, his golf game's obviously not as good as his weightlifting game. But I don't think they're fake weights because I don't think a man that size and those weights and barbells of that size can be fake. So I think it's legit. And he actually had a weightlifting competition, I think, today, in which he could have tweaked his hamstring. So that's very unfortunate. But I have the utmost faith that Burkle Scenes will be back fitter and stronger than ever. And his first weightlifting competition win is around the corner. How much of a pussy are you? That was a very common question asked. Yeah, I'm a bitch. I'm a lover, not a fighter. I've only once gotten in a fight, and that was with my brother. And I like to think that I won. But yeah, I answered that question. What do I think of Blink-182 pre and post Tom DeLonge? Well, pre Tom DeLonge, I presume with Tom DeLonge and without him. With Tom DeLonge, they're my favorite band, and without them, they're like my fifth. But yeah, without Tom DeLonge, it's not the same. It's like I don't know. I can't think of a good enough comparison. But like, imagine your favorite TV show without the main actor. It's like Batman without Christian Bale, and it's got like Ben Affleck playing Batman, which is ridiculous. My favorite film of all time is Mulholland Drive by David Lynch. Crazy film. I've watched it about 15 times, and I could watch it again. What's that? My biggest fear is spiders. I hate spiders. I don't trust them. They're evil. And what really annoys me about spiders is like dogs, you can hear them coming from ages away. So like if, say, you're sitting in your living room, you can hear the dog panting like from a while away. Kind of like... And then you're like, oh, hi dog. How are you? Spiders, they don't give you that warning. You're just sitting there. And then before you know it, there's like 600 legs crawling all over you, 8 eyes, and there's no emotion there. Yeah, so, yeah, I hate spiders. Last but not least... Sorry, this... Oh, okay, so what was my favourite ever Rallen's rant? Changes every month, but I'd say at the moment it'd probably be the Schoolboy special. To have more than one guest on was great. To do a face-to-face was great. And to be able to talk about our own experiences rather than listening to other people's experiences was quite good. But yeah, that wraps it up. Thank you for listening so far. This is like the 38 or 39 episode. So Yeah, let me know what you think of this. I just thought I'd do it. Some people are going to hate it. I know they will. Some people might love it. Just your feedback's important, because if you actually like this, I need to know. So I'll do maybe more in the future. I won't do them every week because people just go insane. So would I. But I just thought it'd be worth the crack. And yeah, as I said, your support and all that's great. Hopefully in the next few weeks, I'm looking, as I said, to have that football season review. I'm having Crocodile Chris on. Check out his Instagram. He's a guy who basically sleeps with crocodiles. He's insane, but in a good way. And the work he does is unlike anything I've ever seen. So hope you enjoy it. Let me know what you think. And yeah, see you again soon.